Hi, I'm Brandea Miller, just a girl who feels like she barely survived from being 18 to 29, from an abusive marriage to divorce, pregnant with my sweet girl to the mom of an angel, and this was all before I was even 20. Since then, I married the high school sweetheart, had a sweet boy, wrote a few books, blogs, and in 9 years, 3 states, 4 cities, 13 homes, 2 hotels, 1 angel girl, 1 sweet boy, a bunch of jobs, and an insane amount of love and laughter. Here I am, 30 years old, talking to you, sharing my wisdom from the infinite lessons I have learned while still learning to navigate around the things that I haven't. Come along and navigate with me. There is room here for your joy, your grief, your hormones, your emotions, your friendships, relationships, heartbreak, and all of the other things that come along with being in your 30s. Hey 30-something gang, welcome back to the In Your 30s podcast, where we tackle all the ups and downs and everything in between about navigating this crazy life in this beautiful decade. I'm your host, Brandea Miller, and today we're diving in to celebrating Thanksgiving on a budget. Because let's be real, we're on a budget. The whole world's on a budget. It's hard to eat. It's hard to pay bills. It's hard to have gas. It's hard to do fun things. It's holidays. Everything's expensive. There's twice as much stuff to take care of. The budget is tighter than our jeans in high school, let me tell you. So today we're going to talk about it. Because the holidays can feel overwhelming when your wallet is stretched as thin as most of ours is these days. So today we're going to talk about how to embrace the gratitude part of Thanksgiving without blowing your budget. We're also going to talk about some affordable recipes. We're going to talk about some do-it-yourself decor. We're going to talk about some creative ways just to find joy in this season. Even if it's simpler, even if it's on a budget, even if it's not what you normally do. And the thing about it is, sometimes this is how you can start new traditions as well. Even when you have the money, it doesn't mean you should always spend it. So sometimes the being on a budget and being in a tight spot can really teach you how to manage your money better when you do get it later on. But let's go ahead, let's jump in, because honestly, we need to talk about this. First, we need to redefine what Thanksgiving is really about, because I think so many of us have forgotten what it is about, to the point that I think a lot of people really just think it's about the food and they move on, honestly. I mean, there's not, I haven't seen really any grateful spirit this year from anyone. And so to me, that says that we're not really embracing the spirit of Thanksgiving as a whole, as a world, as a community, as whatever you want to call it. But there's no gratefulness. And that is what Thanksgiving is actually about. You know, so often we get caught up in the pressure to have this picture perfect holiday. And we've talked about this so many times on the podcast, especially lately. The fancy table settings, the elaborate meals, the decorations straight out of a magazine. And let's be honest, Thanksgiving isn't really about impressing anyone, not even your guests. It's just about being together. It's about gratitude. And honestly, just taking a moment to breathe and reflect and appreciate the things and the people and the journey and where you are and where you started and where you're going, and just be with the people you love. It's not really that difficult. Getting a little fired up here, as you can tell. So, when you strip it all back, the core of Thanksgiving is really simple. It's about connection. That's all it's about. It's about connection. Connection with the people around you, connection with your own sense of gratitude, and even connection with yourself. So if you're worried about not having enough, let me tell you this. You are enough. There doesn't have to be food, or there at least shouldn't have to be food. There definitely shouldn't be anything more than food. It is about the time spent and the people being present. So you are enough. You don't need a big budget or a big house to create meaningful memories and moments with your family and your friends. What you bring to the table, literally and figuratively, is already valuable. It's already the center of the holiday. Your presence, your being, and you being present with other people that you love, that is the holiday. Very simple. I mean, I don't understand how much easier it can get. And you know what? Sometimes the simpler celebrations are the most memorable. I mean, think about it. When was the last time someone remembered a perfect napkin fold? I've never even noticed if there's napkins on the table because let's be honest, I don't come from a family that folds the napkins. We're not rich like that. We ain't got that kind of desire to sit there and spend 30 minutes folding napkins to impress people. We don't care. They're probably from the Dollar Tree. They definitely have turkeys on them and they're colorful. That was the requirement for napkins. So personally, when have you ever remembered the way someone folded a napkin? You know, the people that come and they sit at your table and they talk and they laugh, that's what they remember. They'll remember laughing over a silly story or the moment that you all sat down and took turns saying what you're thankful for. Or even sometimes when you spill your drink and it ends up in someone's lap. And it's funny because only that would happen to us. You know, like you're that family that sits down and everything has gone wrong, but you're still laughing about it because it's making for a great holiday. It's making for a good story later on. And getting mad ain't doing no good. You sit down and you spill your drink on your husband and his lap is wet and everyone's laughing and he's laughing and everyone is sitting there thinking this could only happen to our silly family. And those are the moments that people remember. So why are we sitting here and stressing over what we don't have? You know, why are we not focusing on what we do have? Maybe it's a cozy space. Maybe it's a potluck meal. Maybe it's just time. You know, time is such a valuable, like, it is so unbelievably valuable to have time with people. The holidays are always so hard for me because there are so many people that I would give every crumb in my kitchen or every gift under my tree just to have walk through the door. And I'm trying so hard not to get emotional. But I've lost a child. And I don't get Thanksgiving. And I don't get Christmas. And I did. I got one Thanksgiving. And I got one Christmas. And they are the most valuable Thanksgiving and Christmas that I ever got. Because there was no more time. The time alone that you spend with the people that you love is so invaluable. It's more than the meal. It's more than the decorations. It's more than the mistakes or the mishaps. It is so much more. And when there is no more, there is none. Being grateful and showing gratitude isn't about having the most or it being the most extravagant. It's about making the most of what you've got. And I'm going to say this, and I mean this so wholeheartedly. If the only thing you have with the people that you love is time, be grateful. Because you are blessed. And it is a blessing that we take for granted every day. Even I still do it, knowing that there are people that I love so much in this entire world that I would give anything to have more time with. There are people that are here on this earth that I still take their time for granted. We all do it. But this is the season to slow down and really value that time. And be grateful for it. And the best part, with a little creativity you can make this holiday a beautiful and special and full of meaning holiday without maxing out your credit card, without stressing yourself out, and without killing yourself over food and decor. So I'm going to take a breath, wipe my tears, and then we're going to dive into some ideas to help you do just that. And where better to start, obviously, with the centerpiece of this holiday for most people, and that is the food. All right, let's dive into food. This is basically the heart of Thanksgiving for so many families. This is something that is so important to people across the world. And you want something delicious, you want something festive, and you want something satisfying. But you also got to make it work for your wallet, because you can't go into debt for a dinner. That's insane. First thing you need to do is look at where you shop. Look for sales at discount grocery stores like Aldi, Save-A-Lot, your local dollar store. Even bin stores actually sometimes have food in different areas. You can check local bin stores, and they will have food from Walmart, Target. It's overstock. It's not always expired. I know a lot of people think it is, but there's been a lot of times that we've went and we've been able to find things that are not expired, and we'll grab those. Some stores also run Thanksgiving deals on essentials like turkey, potatoes, canned veggies. These probably aren't going to be your big stores like Walmart, Target. These are probably going to be your more local stores, or even local farmers. And you can always use apps like Ibotta or Fetch to snag rebates and save even more. It's been a long time since I've used Ibotta, so I don't really know how well the deals are on there, but I do know a lot of the times you can get stuff basically for free if you have enough money on there to, pay for it. Or I guess you have to transfer it to your bank first, or they have coupons, which there are times where you can end up with like a free thing of milk or something like that. It used to be like that. Again, it's been years, so I don't know. It could be very different now, but I did used to find Ibotta very, very helpful with saving, getting money back, etc. I just stopped using it because I just don't have the time to keep up with it. Another tip is to shop with a list and stick to it. This is so important. It's so easy to go through the store, and this is why I do pickup orders sometimes too, because it's so easy to go through the store and get distracted by all the things you see on the shelves, and everything's in pretty colors and really nice wrapping, and it's not usually organized, but it's there. You can see it. It grabs your attention some way or another, and it is so hard to walk into the store and say, I need these 5 things, and not walk out with 15 things. And sometimes even forget the thing you came for. So make you a list, stick to it. Don't just wander the aisles without a plan. It can lead to overbuying. It leads to more costs. And honestly, it can lead to more food wasted. So here's the thing. I'm big on tough love, and this is going to be one of those moments because I feel like a lot of people are making Thanksgiving dinner to look like a feast and make it look big and make it look grand and make it look extravagant, and they're not really being realistic about how much food their family actually needs or will eat. They're doing it to look like they got it. They're doing it to keep up with the Joneses, and it's very ick to me, to be quite honest. But I get it because I've also done it. So I'm icked by it now, but I'm reformed. Okay? That's the only reason. And I get it because we had a massive Thanksgiving meal one time for 4 adults. It was so ridiculous. We had so much wasted food. I sent so much food home with them and still had leftovers. And Lucas was there, and he doesn't even eat that much because he's 9, and kids don't even like to eat. They just like to play. But literally, it was bad. And actually, I think at the time he was like 7, maybe 8. But regardless, no, he was 7. He had to have been 7. So regardless, the point is, we way overdone it just for our table to look so beautiful and magnificent. And it did. It looked amazing. but it was super unnecessary and a lot of food went to waste. So, tough love. You're buying too much food. Your family's not going to eat all that. Stop wasting your time and your money. Okay? Cool. Because let's be honest, Thanksgiving is infamous for many, many people cooking way too much food. Just for the sake of the show, or even just to have leftovers. Like, I've heard so many people say, that's okay, more leftovers. What? How does this make sense to you guys? Leftovers can be great. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't get it because I'm not a leftover person. I don't like to eat leftovers. But I do get that in a lot of cases, leftovers can be great. But it's only going to be great if you actually use them. Does your family actually eat leftovers out of the fridge? If so, what do you eat? What do you utilize? There's certain things that it's not too bad to have leftovers of, and I feel like you can utilize it in 1,000 different ways. Like turkey. Turkey is great to utilize the whole thing. You can make turkey broth with the bones. You can get all the meat off of it, even after you've eaten. Take all the meat off of it. You can use it in turkey salad. You can use it in turkey spaghetti. You could use it in turkey tetrazzini. You could use it in all kinds of different ways. But if your family doesn't eat turkey on a regular basis, then buying an entire turkey and not eating all of it and putting it in the fridge is a waste of a lot of your money. Because at the same time, yes, you got your meal out of it, but let's be real. Whole birds are expensive, for one. And for two, you didn't just pay for the meat. You paid for the bones. You paid for all of it. So, even if you don't want to use the bones, even if you don't want to use the gizzards, if you're not using all of the meat off of the bones, it's still a waste. It's still a very expensive turkey. And there are people that just cut the turkey breast and then the rest of it goes in the fridge. You can buy a turkey breast on its own without the bones, without the legs, without the wings, without all the extra stuff. Bake you a turkey breast and ta-da, you saved yourself money. Like, be honest about what you're actually going to use. If you're not going to use the leftover turkey meat from the legs or wings or whatever, don't get a whole turkey. That's insane. That's like making a casserole and every single time you make twice as much as you need, but then you don't eat the other half of it. You would never do that on a regular weekday. You would never come home on a Tuesday and say, I'm going to make twice as much food as I need, put it up, eat it through the week, and then just never eat it. Why would you do it on a holiday? And truth be told, for a smaller family, you can consider skipping the big traditional feast altogether. A simpler meal can be festive. Think casseroles or a hearty lasagna or even a smoked brisket. If you've got an outdoor space, you can consider something fun like a bonfire with chili or a potluck. You know, right now it's November and where I'm at, like, it's a little chilly today, but it's not cold. We truly could just have like a bonfire or something for Thanksgiving and it would not make a difference to us because we really don't care. Lucas doesn't care. Like, we don't care. The focus should be on the time you're spending together and not how much food is on the table or whatever the case may be. And the way I look at it a lot of the times is if I spend more on my Thanksgiving dinner and then I have to take that money out of my wallet because it don't come from nowhere, it has to come from somewhere else. So it has to come from either my fun money or my regular food money or my bill money. And I don't like to overdo taking away from any of those. I'm not going to take from my bill money regardless. I don't care. We'll go without Thanksgiving dinner. It will be tacos and hamburger helper. I don't care. Those bills are getting paid. But when it comes to like our fun money, our investment money, our food money, I don't want to take more out of our regular food money to put it towards one meal. That's insane to me. And so I would honestly rather have less potatoes at Thanksgiving and have fresh potatoes throughout the week that are hot and haven't had to be microwaved and warmed up than having a bunch of leftovers that may or may not get eaten and just sit in my fridge taking up space. Plus, now I've spent more money up front. I have less delicious food money for later on because I'm now eating cold leftovers that I'm warming up. Do you see where it's just not I'm not understanding how this actually even became traditional, to be quite honest. It sounds financially irresponsible, but that's just me. And again, I've done all of these things. We all have done all of these things. But when you get older, you should start to think about ways to be more financially responsible. And overbuying food you're never going to eat is absolutely financially irresponsible, especially in the economy that we are in, because we really have no idea what's going on. We really have no idea what's coming next. We have no clue what is happening. We're just existing within the world. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and get into some ways to actually save on your big feast, some specific ways. One, of course, like I already said, is downsizing the main dish. Downsize the turkey to a full chicken or a duck. A whole chicken is like $7. A turkey, they're like $20, $30 depending on the size you get. So there's a significant price difference between a whole chicken and a whole turkey. There is a slight price difference between a turkey and a duck. I think the duck is probably close to like $20. We normally don't pay more than $20. And we usually get ours at Aldi. We don't have Aldi nearby this year. And we are probably actually going to get ours from our land. We have a flock of ducks. So for us, we will be saving that money this year, hopefully. Fingers crossed if everything goes to plan. But if you're feeling adventurous, try something non-traditional. I know a lot of people do have ham or turkey, but chicken, duck, even with your sides, you can go friendly budget on your sides. Potatoes. You don't need 6 different types of potatoes. You also don't need to over make potatoes so that people can overstuff themselves. That's actually not helping anyone, because now you're also conditioning and enabling your family members to be in a situation where they can implement unhealthy eating habits with food. And eating until you're full is one thing. Eating past the point of full is not a healthy eating habit. It's not healthy to condition your brain that it's okay, even on holidays. It's just not good all the way around. Other wallet-friendly options can include roasted carrots, sauteed green beans, or even just a simple cornbread. Cornbread takes cornbread mix, milk, eggs, and a little bit of sugar. Like, honestly, you can't go wrong with cornbread as a filler. It's almost cheaper to make them rolls too, realistically, because you don't need yeast, you don't need any of that stuff, and you don't need the extra time either. So it's very time friendly as well. And again, be careful where you're shopping. Look ahead of time. Almost every store has their prices online somewhere for food. If you have a grocery store nearby and they don't offer prices online, they don't offer anything there, look on Instacart, look on DoorDash. A lot of those services will tell you what the price is, and it might be $1 or $2 more on the app than it is. You can figure that out based on what the prices are when you really go in versus what the prices are on the app. And you can do that ahead of time so you can factor it in. But it will give you the opportunity to, while you're at home, while you're sitting here, while you're trying to figure it all out, just grab your phone, look between 3 different stores or whatever stores are in your area and say, okay, this place has this the cheapest. This place has this the cheapest. Plan ahead and give yourself time to run to those places and get those items at the prices that you need them at in order to make things friendly. And the Dollar Tree, those potatoes, those instant potatoes at the Dollar Tree, they're no different than the instant potatoes at Walmart, and they're cheaper, FYI. Mac and cheese, no different. Matter of fact, the Dollar Tree actually has the cheese packets for Velveeta, and you can go get you a little cheese packet and get you some dollar shells. It's the same thing as long as you got the right cheese. The cheese makes the mac and cheese. So you get the Velveeta cheese packet, you get some generic noodles, and boom, you got Velveeta. And it's not $6 a box because, let's be honest, Velveeta is expensive. And it's not always more budget friendly to make your own stuff. Now, that is one of my tips though. There are a lot of things that are do-it-yourself friendly. Like, it would be ridiculous to go and buy cornbread from somebody who makes cornbread. Because it's so cheap. It's like less than $1 for a box of cornbread mix. You're already going to buy milk for other things, and you probably already have sugar and an egg. Not only does it taste better when you make some of it yourself, but it can be cheaper, like pies or stuffing. You can literally just take bread you already have. You can put it in the oven. I think you can drizzle it with oil. I don't know if everybody does that, but I've seen some people drizzle it with oil, and then you season it. And that's all stuffing is. And then you go and you add your broth and your herbs and all that stuff to it as well. And boom, baby, you got stuffing from that stale bread that your kids ain't eating. Like, it's not bad. It ain't molded. Eat it. Now, some things that I don't suggest you make on your own are things like mac and cheese. If you're looking for a budget-friendly way to make mac and cheese, it's not on your own. Unless you, of course, go and do the thing that I just told you, and then it's like $2.50 for basically Velveeta. Because, Dollar Tree's $1.25 now. So, mac and cheese, though, like, to make a good mac and cheese, you gotta have some milk, you gotta have flour, you gotta have eggs, you gotta have cheese, you gotta have a lot of cheese, actually, a lot of cheese. You gotta have a little bit of paprika, some salt, some pepper, some noodles. Like, it's a whole process, and it's not quicker, and it's definitely not cheaper, in my opinion. But there are plenty of things, like a pie. If you already got flour, and again, if you already got the stuff for the mac and cheese, go ahead and make it by yourself, because then it is cheaper. But if you don't, obviously, it's not going to be cheaper to go buy all that stuff. Now, as far as a pie, pies are so very simple. I'm going to give you a recipe right now. Go ahead, grab something, write it down for a pie crust. Once you make this pie crust, you can put anything in between it. Anything. You can put chocolate, you could put coconut, you could put lemon, you could put pumpkin, you could put cranberry, you could put apple, you could put freaking eggs and sausage and ham. I don't care. You can put anything in between this crust. You can also use this crust for other stuff every day outside of the holidays, like homemade Pop-Tarts, etc., etc. We'll talk about that another day. The point is, this is the recipe for this crust. And then you can have any pie you want at any time, as long as you got the stuff or can afford the stuff to make the filling. But in a lot of cases, if you're making a stuffing, you probably already have some apples. We put apples in our stuffing anyways. You can go get a thing of Jell-O or apple pie filling from the Dollar Tree for very, very cheap. So you can make a pie very cheap, very easy. You do not have to spend, $8 or $10? That's, I think, how much the ones in the freezer are. You don't have to spend that much on a pie for one freaking holiday. You can just do this, and you have a very easy, very simple pie crust recipe. You can pull it out any time of the year for multiple uses beyond pie. You can use it for, a chicken pot pie. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. This is all you need. Couple ingredients. You're going to take 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. You want to make sure that this is measured correctly. So, of course, scrape it off the top. And then you want to get a little bit more so that you can dust your area out when you roll your pie crust out, okay? You just got to have a little bit more. Not a lot. Then you need a tablespoon of granulated sugar. A half a tablespoon of sea salt. A half a pound. This is 2 sticks, okay, 2 sticks of butter, or a half a pound of butter. It has to be cold and it has to be unsalted. You don't want salted. It will add salt taste to your pie crust. You're already adding salt. You don't need it. And then you're going to dice your butter into 1/4 inch pieces. This is basically just cut it at the marks. Okay, just cut it at the marks. That's what we do. And then you want a couple tablespoons of ice water. About 7 or 8. Literally, what you're going to do is place your flour, your sugar, and your salt into a bowl. You can put it in a food processor if you have one. I don't. I just use a bowl. Then you're going to add your diced butter, and you're going to mix it up really, really good. If you do not have a food processor, you can use a blender. If you do not have a blender, you can chop it up with a knife and mix it that way. Very weird way to do it, but it works. Or you can use one of those little mashy things that people use for hamburger meat on the stovetop. That's a good way to do it. Or just do it with your hands. Just get in there and do it with your hands. At this point, once you get that all mixed up, it should still be a little bit dry and powdery. You're going to add that water. You're going to mix it up again in your food processor with your little hamburger meat smushy thing, whatever way you're doing it. You're going to press a piece of dough between your fingertips. And if the dough sticks together, you have added enough water. If not, you need to add a little bit more water, a teaspoon at a time. Don't add too much. It'll be sticky. You won't be able to roll it out. It will not be a pie crust. It will be just a bunch of dough. Transfer it to a surface. Flatten it. Roll it. Go for it. That's it. Now, you do want to refrigerate it for about an hour before you use it. But honestly, it's very simple. It's very few ingredients. It's very easy, and it's a lot cheaper than going out and buying an $8 pie from the freezer section. And it's a lot easier than letting it thaw for 24 hours or so. It is not always easier to make the meal yourself. It is not always easier to do it yourself. But if you already have ingredients on hand, if you are able to source the ingredients in a way that is financially responsible for your budget, then take the time and make it. Give yourself a little extra time. So let's say you do end up with leftovers. Not on purpose, but it works that way sometimes. How do we keep them from going to waste? Because at this point, you have paid for the food. You have put that money in. And not eating it and not utilizing it for your family is just financially irresponsible to your tight budget. So how do you get creative with the ways that you use your leftovers? One way is, of course, using that leftover meat, shred leftover turkey, toss it into a soup or a pie with a little bit of broth, some frozen veggies. You can toss it into pasta. You can do all those things. You can even put it in your dog's food. It's better for the dog to eat it than for you to let it waste. Stuffing waffles. Yes, you heard that correctly. Stuffing waffles. No, I did not stutter. I'm not crazy, and I did not just make this up randomly. This is a real thing. Stuffing waffles. You pack your stuffing into a waffle iron for crispy, savory waffles. I know how ridiculous this sounds, but people do it, and they like it. So you could just top it with some sausage and some gravy, or you could add an egg for breakfast, whatever the case may be. I'm sure you could even, honest to God, top this with some more turkey and some gravy from Thanksgiving, and it would end up being a good little meal, I guess. I don't know. I've never had a stuffing waffle. I'm not sure I'm that adventurous, but I do think it's interesting. And another thing that you could do is Thanksgiving sandwiches. You could pile turkey and cranberry sauce into a piece of bread. And honestly, if you put it on sourdough and then some butter in a skillet and turn it into a grilled cheese, I bet it'd be a terrific grilled cheese sandwich with some brie. Oh my gosh, I bet it'd be a really good grilled cheese sandwich. Another thing I have seen is people make these like fried potato cakes. I don't know, but they make them out of leftover mashed potatoes. You could do that as well. Another thing you could do is you could take some of the things like sweet potatoes or green bean casserole and put them into muffin tins, bake them into a muffin tin. You could even use that pie crust recipe to put it around the green bean casserole. And you could bake it into like a little easy to go, pop in the microwave or pop in the oven muffin that you can just grab for a snack, grab for lunch. You know, we're all busy. We're moms for the next week after Thanksgiving. We're trying to get rid of this food. And also for like 4 days after Thanksgiving, our kids are out of school, you know. So easy, grab and go out of the freezer. Lunches are great. And this is a great way to use your leftovers and create something that you can put in your freezer and grab and go for your family later. And I'll be real with you. If the idea of a big meal is stressing you out, or it's just something you cannot fathom, skip it. There is no rule saying you have to do turkey and all the fixings. There's no rule saying we have to spend all day cooking. There's no rule saying we have to have a feast. The idea of Thanksgiving feast, from my understanding, has come from what we have been taught about Native Americans and Christopher Columbus and them all feasting together, and it's created the tradition and blah, 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 blah. But we also know as 30-year-olds that the stories that we've heard about the history of our country and how it worked out and the traditions taught from it are whitewashed from hell and completely gaslight us as a society. I mean, let's be honest, they do. They gaslight us as a society into thinking that that is how we have to spend those holidays and how we have to celebrate those holidays, and that is the tradition for those holidays. But tradition is different for everybody. So there's a movie that I watch every single year. It's called Snow Globe. It has Christina Milian in it. She's beautiful, she's gorgeous, and she's great in that movie. But the point is, she gets the snow globe because she's wanting to not have the traditional holiday she has with her family. They have a colorful Christmas lasagna in a very crowded apartment in a building that her family owns. They stock it full of single men, so she's annoyed with that too. And honestly, she just has a horrible mood about the holiday from the get-go because she loves the holiday, but it's not going as she wanted it to go and how she sees the holiday as being. And she wants that traditional Christmas ham, and she wants the traditional Christmas, like everybody's at the table, nobody's, eating dinner and watching football, and she just wants this very beautiful, aesthetic, well put together Christmas. And she gets the snow globe. It's magic. She goes into the snow globe. She gets to experience this Christmas, and then she realizes that she doesn't really actually want it. She loves the tradition that her family has of just having a lasagna and getting together, and that is what she longs for in the end. Spoiler alert, she also likes a guy in the snow globe, but he kind of already has a girlfriend. They go back to the snow globe, and then she likes the guy in the apartment building that her family stocks full of single men. So she does fall in love in this movie. It's a great movie. But she does learn a valuable lesson about honoring and being thankful for the traditions that you have. And it's not a big grand tradition. They live in a Brooklyn apartment. I think it's in Brooklyn. And it's like a 1-bedroom apartment or something crazy. And they have a lasagna, and they sit at the table together, and they just talk. And then, I think her dad and her brother or brother-in-law watch football, and that is their tradition. And she didn't really realize how special it was because it wasn't grand until she got to experience the grand, and it wasn't really that special. And so I think it's a very good movie with a very good message about being grateful for what you have and the traditions that you have and the family that you have, and not taking it for granted, because sometimes the grass isn't always greener and the thing we thought we want isn't what we wanted. And I think a lot of the times we think that because we have been sold whitewashed history that because the Native Americans had a feast on Thanksgiving, we should have a feast on Thanksgiving. But they didn't have a feast on Thanksgiving to show off and have a feast. They had a feast for other reasons. They weren't going and spending all their money on a feast either. And so nowadays, it's just not always feasible to have a big old feast just for a couple pictures on social media and to show off and maybe have leftovers that you're not going to eat. It just doesn't make sense. And there are a lot of different cultures and in different countries even where Thanksgiving is celebrated with different foods. You know, it could be something like lasagna or enchiladas, something easy to prep, easy to serve, a potluck where everyone contributes. Heck, you could even do tacos. I mean, honestly, there's so many options. It doesn't have to be an elaborate spread to make it special. The food is celebrating the company. The company doesn't celebrate the food. So ultimately, you can do Thanksgiving to whatever way you feel comfortable, the least stress, and the least stress on your budget. And who knows? Those creative tweaks might just become your new family tradition, something unique and something cool with an amazing backstory that you can tell future generations or people who marry in, whatever the case may be. And that's pretty cool. Now let's shift gears here for a bit and talk about gratitude. And I know I'm talking about gratitude a lot on the podcast lately. We've talked about the holidays a lot. We've talked about stress a lot. I get it. Get over it. It's the holidays. Gratitude does not cost you a dime, but it can leave the biggest impact on your Thanksgiving celebration. And the opposite is true as well. Being ungrateful or showing ungratefulness can absolutely destroy your entire Thanksgiving celebration. So really be careful about which way you want to lean. Choose wisely because it can make all the difference having a grateful heart or having an ungrateful heart walking into a Thanksgiving celebration on what way it goes and how the celebration makes everyone feel, not just you. Because let's be honest, it's not just about you. So here are some fun, meaningful ways to show thanks this holiday. And this can be whether you're hosting or if you're just joining the festivities. First, let's talk about if we're joining the festivities at someone else's house. If you're heading to someone else's house this year, you can skip the wine, skip the store-bought gift baskets. Now, granted, you can always still bring the wine because it might be needed. But a thoughtful handmade gift can mean so much more than a bottle of wine or a basket that you got at the store. And you can make it really special to the person and to the celebration, the holiday, the season, anything you want. You can make it even special to the family and make certain things that, you know, each family member would like, or even treats for their animals if they have like dogs. Freshly baked bread, muffins, or cookies are always appreciated. You can wrap them in parchment paper, put them in a little basket, whatever you want for just a little warm personal touch. And these can be things that are really easy and cheap to make. You don't need a lot to make cookies. There's not, even if you make them store-bought, like you can get them really cheap. You can make a lot of cookies for really cheap. So very easy, very simple, very personal, something very considerate, I feel like. You know, it's just a kind gift. Like, it took time and love and labor, and people really appreciate that. Also, create a gratitude jar. Decorate a jar with ribbon or paint. Fill it with some little notes for, you know, the host, some little appreciation notes. It's just a sweet reminder that they are valued, and they can use it throughout the year if they're ever feeling like they're not. And sometimes a simple card can actually go a long way, even if you don't have anything to put with it. So just write it out. Draw them a card. Get a little cheap card from the Dollar Tree. You know, you can even print something out online. There's a lot of cute little ideas. You can use AI. There's all kinds of ways to make a creative, simple card just to say, hey, I'm grateful for you. And it can really mean more than any physical gift. This is something that you might even see laying out on their mantle or something when you come over later on, because these types of things are truly priceless. So for a family activity, maybe you're not going somewhere. Maybe you are the host. Maybe you're the one that is trying to figure out what you're all going to do. A gratitude tree is a great family activity. So for me, I think it's a beautiful way to get everyone involved. I think it's a great way to focus on what really matters. And basically what you do is you find a branch outside. You can use a small fake tree, whatever. Place it in a vase or a pot for stability and cut out paper leaves from construction paper, cardstock, whatever. Put a little hole in them, tie strings for hanging, and then each person will write something that they're grateful for on the leaf and hang it on the tree during the gathering. This is great for people who put their tree up early but don't necessarily want to put Christmas on it. We do that a lot. There's a lot of years where we've put our tree up and we don't really decorate the trees until after Thanksgiving, but we put them up beforehand. The rest of the house, however, it's decorated. And you can make this a year-round tradition and revisit the tree next year. You could save the leaves for years to come. And this can even double as a very creative centerpiece or conversation starter at a dinner table where you're not having a big wasteful feast. Just sprinkling that in there. And then, of course, photo memories. Who doesn't love a good little nostalgia? Sharing photos is a great way to celebrate the people that you're with and the moments that have brought you together, the memories you've made. You can do prints, you can do photo gifts, you can even actually do like the little place card holders with like a photo of you and that person. Or you could do like, they have these cute oh my gosh, what are they called? I literally lost all train of thought. Photo frames. They're digital photo frames. They're on TikTok everywhere. And you can get those. You can get them on Temu and stuff too. But you could get those and even put them on the table and let slideshows run through each of them. That's really cute. It's not budget friendly preferably, but it is a really cute idea. But for more realistic and budget friendly ideas, go to Walgreens, go to Shutterfly. Walgreens had a deal the other day actually going that you got like, I think it was a bunch of prints for like $1 or something like that. It was like 4x6s. Those are perfect for this occasion. You could just stick them in little photo holders throughout the table. Like, there's all kinds of ways to do this. And if all else fails, maybe you like the idea of the digital photos, but you don't have the money for a digital photo frame. Do it on your TV. Do a slideshow on your TV. Most of the time you can stream straight from your phone, but even if not, there are a lot of ways to upload your videos or photos to your TV and utilize that. A few more creative ideas to sprinkle gratitude into your celebration is you can do a group gratitude letter. I've never heard of anyone doing this before. I seen this the other day. I thought it was great. Basically, you get a notebook or sheet of paper. You can even get like a little journal, pass it around, let everyone jot down what they're grateful for. Throughout dinner, just pass it around. And then before dessert, read it out loud and let everyone hear what everyone is grateful for. You could also do a toast, which I think a lot of people do this. It's not really a new concept. You sit down and everyone kind of says, hey, I'm grateful for this. Oh, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. You can make it a toast or you can just make it a conversation. Keep it lighthearted. Keep it meaningful. It's up to you. But I think a lot of people do that and it's a great way to just feel connected. And then a memory jar for the year ahead. Set out a jar and some slips of paper where guests can write down their favorite memories of the past year. Revisit those memories next year on Thanksgiving. And it's just a really good way to reflect and grow together, and it's something that can become a new tradition year after year. Ultimately, Thanksgiving is about connection and appreciation, and it doesn't take very much to show people how much they mean to you. Like, honestly, we get how much we mean to people way before they actually say it, because we see it through your actions. So whether it's through a simple note, a creative activity, sharing moments or memories, these little gestures can make the day truly special. And the best part is they don't cost a ton. I know we've talked about this topic a lot on the podcast recently because it's the holidays, and I get it. We will be moving on to different topics very soon. But for today, this is a very important topic, and this is something that really needs to be talked about before next week, before everybody's sitting down to dinner, before everybody's freaking out over the weekend and next week about dinner and what's going to be made and what's the menu look like and what's the time and what all of these things. Take a breath and recollect yourself. Refocus yourself. And remember where the purpose of this holiday is. Simplify it. There's no laws, there's no rules, there's no set way it has to be. It's your holiday. Do it the way that you want and do it on the budget that you can afford. Thanksgiving isn't about having the most, it's not about having the biggest feast. It's not about having the most beautiful house. It's not even actually about having the most people around the table. It's about having the people that add the most value to your life around the table. And that is what is important. Spending that time with those people and making the memories and celebrating the love and the time that you get. Showing gratefulness and gratitude towards people that make your life better is truly the best thing about Thanksgiving. Okay, I've ranted and I've rambled and I've cried and I've gotten emotional and I've gotten stern. I showed you a little bit of tough love, gave you a little bit of advice, been the big sister that you needed before the holidays, and that is it for today's episode. I will see you guys next time on the next episode of In Your 30s. And I hope that this episode really has you feeling inspired to create a Thanksgiving that's full of love and gratitude, no matter what the budget looks like. If you try out any of these tips or even the recipe or have your own budget-friendly ideas, I would love to hear them, and I would love to connect with you on Facebook or Instagram. You can look me up on Facebook at Brandea Miller, and I will link it in the show notes today. And then you can also connect with me on Instagram at Brandea Miller, or just shoot me a comment even on the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share. Don't forget to subscribe so you can come back and hang out with us. And then go ahead and have a great Thanksgiving. I will not talk to you guys again until after Thanksgiving, but I hope that your Thanksgiving is fulfilling, and I hope that you feel loved and appreciated, and that you are surrounded by love and appreciation, and that you can give the love and the appreciation needed to the people that you love. That was a lot. That was a whole tongue twister, but take the time and really focus on the people that matter and not the things and not the money and not the food. And really enjoy Thanksgiving for what it is supposed to be. I will see you next time, and until then, remember to embrace the season with an open heart and a full yet affordable plate. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye, 30-something gang.